What's good? What's good, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Urban Platform Speaks. Make sure to like and subscribe as you turn into the channel and check out the content. And with that being said, man, I want to speak on how sometimes when people try to give you advice, especially when older people try to give advice to a younger person, and a younger person might think that you out of date, you out of touch, you don't know what's going on, and it might even seem like something simple. Because Larry Bird a few years ago went to the NBA All Star game, the locker room, and he just try to get a guys a pep talk, right, and try to tell them, how or it stressed to them how important it was for them to put on a good show and just to play hard. And it immediately came out that LeBron James was he was the player who just looked at Larry Bird kind of side eye, and just blew him off, right? Like Larry Bird don't know what he's talking about, and Larry Bird don't know, he's out of touch, right? And so now I think it's to the point where it's becoming obvious to LeBron James like how important it was for LeBron James to respect the game of basketball, appreciate what the game of basketball has done for him, and his family and his friends, you know, instead of just blowing off Larry Bird. And so now I think like I said, it's coming to the point where the ramifications of just a simple act like that, what LeBron did, I think he's going to pay for it. So I ran across a some audio I'ma play about that situation where Stephen A. Smith addressed that situation. And what I want to do is I want to play the audio, then I'm gonna come back and give some more of my input.
The All-Star game is well behind us. I didn't want to talk about it again. I already said it should just be canceled, but I couldn't believe what Stephen A. said on First Take today. Take a look.
There were people that came before these guys. Now, you know as well as I do, Mike, one or two guys that have the right attitude about this, that is a superstar, changes everything. Remember what happened last year. In last year's All-Star game, Dr. J and Larry Bird, you heard the story just like I did, Wilbon. They made sure we know. Dr. J and Larry Bird walked into the locker room and talked to the players. And they talked to the players, and the NBA thought, yes, the players are really, really listening. They're really, really getting it. And then one of the superstars, who will remain nameless, but everybody can surmise who that was, gave a side eye to those guys while they were talking. And then the players went out there and let 400 points be scored.
See, and everybody, it came out later that was LeBron James who really gave the side eye to Larry Bird and Dr. J, right? But in my opinion, man, I like this is a real big moment, and it just puts the spotlight on how entitled, how immature, and how disrespectful LeBron James was, and how much he really didn't care about the game of basketball. Larry Bird and Dr. J, they know firsthand what comes with being a NBA All Star, and what comes and some of the pitfalls that come along with the NBA life and the NBA lifestyle. They didn't have time to go into all of that, but now I think LeBron James is going to get to the point where he's going to find out that throughout his career, all he had to do, was play as hard as he could.
And the league ain't letting that go. And so what happens is it just shows you if one player can have that kind of an impact negatively, they can also have that kind of impact positively.
To correct Stephen.
Right. And so Stephen also makes a good point when he said that they're not going to let that go. The owners, when you do stuff like that and you affect their bottom line, you affect the quality of the product that they're trying to put out there, the owners and the sponsors. That goal, like, I don't know if LeBron James, if you're a businessman, why would you want to piss off the owners? Why would you want to piss off the sponsors? You potentially one day you could be an owner, and sponsors that you might want to deal with later on may hold something like this against you. So it just, for LeBron James to be this far into his career and making those kind of mistakes, it just, I don't know. It just, to me, it just says he don't get it.
It wasn't Dr. J. It was Larry Bird, Oscar Robertson, and Reggie Miller. We already knew that last year they tried to give the players a pep talk and it didn't work at all. But to find out that one of the best players disrespected them while they were talking and gave them a dirty look just to go out there and have the worst All-Star game of all time, that's crazy to me. They didn't have to do that. What that tells me is they're not holding back from playing hard, which throws the injury excuse right out the window. They are purposely playing with as little effort as possible to make a statement to the league. When you hear stories like this, with open, blatant disrespect, you start to realize why Oscar Robertson would go at a player like Draymond Green. The fact that the fans, the media, and NBA legends all want them to show more effort is only making it worse. In their eyes, if they do what everyone wants, even if it's just for one night, they're giving up their power, even though players like Larry Bird and Oscar Robertson are the only reason they have that power. They don't.
All right. So, all right. If NBA players think that they're giving up their power just by playing hard on the court, I would say the opposite, right? Because if you're an NBA, and Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant, Larry Bird, they are perfect examples of this. If you give everything you have on the court, your fans will adore you. Your fans will continue your legacy. Your fans will they will give you leverage. Like when it's time to deal with sponsors and it's time to deal with people that want to they want to profit off of your name and your likeness. How much the fans love you and how much the fans appreciate you goes that gives you more leverage. That goes into the amount of leverage that you have when you go into these board meetings with these sponsors and people who want to team up with you as far as doing business. It just only makes sense. But since LeBron James has been given everything, he don't look at stuff this way, right? He look at it like, like I don't have to do this. I've been given everything, and he don't even think about the fans. And that's, and I say this in a lot of my videos, like that's where LeBron James, he missed the boat because that's where your power come from. Like the franchises, owners, and sponsors, they are careful how they handle a franchise ball player because of the fan base. That's really the only leverage that you have. If you decide that if you as a player pick corporations over the fan base, once the corporations are done with you, the fan base don't care because you never really endeared yourself to them. Right. And so that's why Michael Jordan is still 20 something years, 23 years, going on 24 years after playing in the NBA. That's why every time he dropped a retro sneaker, it sell out because of what he did on the court. LeBron James is still in the league and can't sell out sneakers, can't sell out games. As and how you do that, that's where your leverage is. Your leverage is with your fan base. And if you don't care as a player and you show the fans that, then the fans are going to pay you back by not caring about you.
About that. I know how Stephen A. and some of his sources can be, but Larry Bird went into that game hopeful that they would put on a show. Now he calls it a joke. He said he's done with it, and he didn't go this year, which adds validity to what Stephen A. said. He likely felt disrespected. The effort was better this year, but that's only from two factors. One,
and Larry Bird may have felt disrespected, right? But I think Larry Bird also realized that, LeBron James, you are going to find out the hard way. And that basically that's what Larry Bird, he was like, you're going to find out the hard way how important it is to go out there and give your all. Lessons, parents always tell their kids, like, if you're going to do it right. It seems simple, and it don't take a Rhodes Scholar or somebody with a college degree to tell you something like that. Like, if whatever you're going to do it right. And so something simple like that can just carry you a long way. LeBron James obviously didn't get that. Nobody told him that, or if they did tell him, he didn't listen. And he's the only, in my opinion, franchise superstar person that didn't listen. And so I think that LeBron James will be made a special example of. I don't think LeBron James is going to be able to get away with that, in my opinion. So if he is, I'll be very surprised. But he can't. He won't be able to get away with that because it's going to come back to bite him in the long run. Let me see what else they got here.
Victor Wembanyama, and 2, the OGs didn't want to be embarrassed by a bunch of rookies. That's not going to happen every year. That's why I still say it should be canceled. And when they talk about...
All right, so Victor Wembanyama did come out the next year and play hard. Let me speak to that, right? Because Victor Wembanyama knows that the ramifications of that. And even at a young age, I think, what is Victor Wembanyama, like 19, 20? He knows, man. He came out and he played hard, and he was an example. He made everybody else play hard. If you coming in there with that weak nonsense, Victor Wembanyama was blocking it, right? So it's imperative, man, that these guys get out there and they earn what this league is giving them, because if you don't give it to them one way, they're going to get it another way. And so you don't want the league humiliating you. You don't want the league making you a part of the storyline or the news cycle and stuff like that. Play hard, man. It's just like these social media platforms, and there's just so many different ways that they can exploit these players and get out of them, make money off of them, man, without even, these guys need to play hard and be very strategic about the way they move. And LeBron James has not been that since, since coming into the league. So that's my take on the situation. Make sure to like and subscribe. Also, don't forget to leave a comment. And with that being said, I'm going to check y'all out in the next video. Peace.